Hey guys, my name is Moon and welcome back for more Umineko When They Cry, episode number 7. So last time we were with Jessica and she was talking about other self, second self, right? It was pretty good. So we're still with her, by the way. So let us continue and let's see what happens today. We're with Goda and Shannon right here.
本日はお疲れ様でございました。
シャノンにゴーダさんさ、ベアトリーチェの話は知ってるよな。
まあ、存じているといえば存じておりますが、それが何か。
The two looked at each other. They looked like a pair who had just heard a clueless person suddenly utter a forbidden word.
ぶっちゃけ聞くぜ。いるの？そんなお化け。
いるかいないかと言われれば、それはいないでしょうが、多分。
私はきっと、いらっしゃると思います。
どうしているって？会ったことあるの？
直接会ったことがあるわけじゃありませんけど、
Shannon spoke in detail of how she'd sometimes feel a strange presence or see a silhouette while doing the midnight rounds. And each time she started, Jessica would immediately cut her off, saying she must have seen it wrong or been mistaken.
ゴーダさんだって会ったことあるわけじゃないだろ？
もちろんですとも。しかし、まあ。
He was being very evasive. Even a man as big as Goda was apparently unable to deny the existence of someone he'd never met. This really didn't sit well with Jessica. She was a resident of this mansion himself, or herself, sorry. They were acting as though someone she didn't know was living here. Of course, she didn't like it.
ちょっと待った。今の話をもう一度。
と言いますと？
貴賓室の話ですか？
Goda and Shannon had been recounting several ghost stories about Beatrice. One of those drew a reaction from Jessica.
そうそう。今の貴賓室の話。面白いぜ。
Goda and Shannon glanced at each other. After all, it hadn't been a cool story to either of them.
貴賓室には午前2時に入ってはいけないですか？
午前2時には、ベアトリーチェ様が貴賓室にお戻りになるので、近づいてはいけないですか？
Returns to the VIP room every morning at 2 a.m., so you mustn't go near it.
そうそう、それ。面白いぜ。どの話も、ベアトリーチェらしきものを見たの聞いたのって体験談ばっかだけど、その話は違うぜ。午前2時に貴賓室に行けば、ベアトリーチェ様にお会いできるってわけだ。
それは、どうでしょう。
お嬢様。ベアトリーチェ様を悪く言った使用人には、たたりがあると言われています。ましてや、貴賓室はベアトリーチェ様のお部屋。
いくらお嬢様でも、それは、およしになられた方が。
貴賓室って、今は鍵がかかってるんだっけ？鍵は？
鍵は、キーボックスにあったでしょうか。
多分、源氏様がご自分の席にしまわれていると思います。
マスターキーでも開くんでしょ？貸してよ。
そういうわけには、参りません。
Look at Jessica's face.
お嬢様、好んで不吉な場所に近づくことはありません。
おいおい、人の家を勝手に不吉にするんじゃねえぜ。とにかく私は決めた。マスターキーが貸せないなら、貴賓室の鍵はあるでしょ？貸して。
お嬢様。
Are they gonna give it to her? To Jessica, the expression worn by the pair felt more like an ill omen than anything else did. In Jessica's eyes, the ill omen thing wasn't the witch or the VIP room. It was them, Maria and the others who believed in witches. In the end, Jessica forced them to agree and she made them bring her the key to the VIP room.
ベアトリーチェが本当に貴賓室に現れるかどうか肝試しをしたというわけか。
A test of courage.
そんなとこだぜ。しかし、私は何を意地になってたんだろうな。年派もいかないマリアとの喧嘩を引きずってたに違いない。
I mean, if you live in a mansion like that, would you go and check out something like this? I mean, I would be curious, but I don't know. Probably not. Like, if it's real, I mean, it's real life? I don't know. Probably not. Yeah, I would not look at it unless I have someone with me. Yep. Because, yeah, you don't know if it's actually real or not, right? And then if you go there, then it's suddenly real. What are you gonna do? Of course, the weather just had to be terrible on that particular night. It is always raining, yes. To be honest, I slightly regretted sticking my nose into something so pointless. But I already said so much and even borrowed the key from them. I couldn't just go to Shannon the next day, have her ask me how it went, and answer, well, I gave up. Cause it was too scary. That'd just be pathetic. Normally, I go to sleep long before 2 a.m. If mom found me wandering the corridors at that time of night, she'd definitely yell at me. So I waited in my room, staring at the hands of my clock as it ticked closer to 2 a.m. Outside, the rain was incredible and the wind was very strong. The swaying, rustling trees were particularly eerie. I had complained to Shannon and Goda about making up ghost stories about my house. But I was starting to feel like those ghost stories might not be so impossible after all. The Oshiromiya mansion is huge. Honestly, I can't think of the entire mansion as my own house. As mom says, the hallways of the Oshiromiya mansion should be treated like public roads. In other words, my own room is a part of my home, but the hallways and the rooms I don't usually enter are outside. So while part of me felt that the VIP room ghost story was ridiculous, another part of me was so creeped out that it kept frantically trying to convince itself that the first part of me was right. Only 10 minutes left till 2 a.m. If I want to be inside the VIP room at 2 a.m., I need to go get there before then.
行くか。悪いが、私も意地だぜ。
Yeah, where's Will, by the way? Why is that Will here? Nothing is going to happen, I know that. It'll just be stupid or a stupid waste of time for a few minutes. I touched the doorknob to the door of my room and was startled by how unpleasantly cold it was. As long as I stayed in this room, I could laugh off anything. After all, this was my room. But it wouldn't be like that in the hallway. That's outside my territory. And the doorknob, the barrier between the two, is ice cold. Idiot. What are you scared of? Me? You aren't taking Shannon's, Goda-san's, or maybe Kumasawa-san's gossip seriously, are you? So I'll prove it. There's nothing strange in the VIP room. The corridor was only dimly lit. Before lights out time, the hallways were brighter. But to avoid wasting energy or something like that, we kept the lights to a minimum at night. So even though I was inside my own house, it was very clearly the middle of the night here. If a mom found out that I was wandering around at a time like this to do a test of cards in the VIP room, which I'm not even supposed to go in, I'd get in a lot of trouble. To make sure she didn't find out, I tried to hide my breathing and my footsteps. So the silence felt unbelievably loud. Even though it was so quiet, that eerie sound of the wind was noisy. The sound of twigs rustling. The sound of some pillar in this old mansion creaking. What's that sound like? A beak tapping against glass? Though it was so quiet, all of the little suspicious sounds made it seem noisy. Damn, I'm an idiot. Why couldn't I have brought a flashlight at least? A flashlight to use inside my own home? That's even more idiotic. I mumbled this to myself, hoping it would drown out the sound of the wind just a little. And then I saw it. The door to the VIP room. This was the VIP room, the room for important guests. However, as far as I knew, it had never been used before. None of the guests who came to this mansion were important enough to be given use of this room. Though I'd been clutching that key the whole time, it didn't feel warm at all. It still ruthlessly and icily tormented me. Or maybe that was a warning. If you go back to your comfortable room and hide in your bed, this night will pass like any other.
バカにすんじゃねえぜ。ここまで来て、今さら引き下がれるかってんだ。
Even though the key was freezing in my hand, telling me to go back, it slipped into the keyhole quite easily. All that's left is to turn the knob, open it, and I'll be inside the VIP room. It's not like I've never been in there before. Long ago, I explored and played hide and seek all the time. And this room that I rarely entered seemed unusual and exciting. However, I got into trouble for going in and was told that this room was important, so one mustn't enter without reason. After that, they made a rule of locking up unused rooms, so I couldn't go in anymore. So it probably been several years since I've gotten to the VIP room. In fact, it might be more than 10 years since the last time. Inside of the room was or has probably changed from how I remember it. Come to think of it, even then, I felt that there was something unsettling about it. Slowly, I pushed the door open. The door was light, and even after I let it go, it kept opening by itself as though beckoning me in. Beyond it was darkness, as thick and heavy as ink. Even the dim light that peeked in front of the corridor seemed bright in contrast. I gulped. I stuck my head in, feeling about for the light switch next to the doorway. This was a horribly awkward and uncomfortable way to do it. All I really had to do was step inside and search for the switch from there. Unwilling to take even a single step into the room, I timidly stuck just my arm into the darkness and felt along the wall. Click. The lights opens. The switch, which was hardly ever used, felt stiff and lifeless. However, once the light turned on, the darkness vanished in an instant. And there, exactly as it had been, as though not a thing had changed in all these years, was a VIP room. I mean, we've been here before already. Yeah, in the other episodes. The curtain and the bed cover might have been slightly different, and maybe the chairs and the like had changed too. Still, if I had to put it into words, I'd call it the feel. The stiff, lifeless feel of this room hadn't changed. If I hang around here, someone might find me. I'd rather not have a mom find me in here. I readied myself. And though I couldn't even bring myself to enter this room when the lights were out, I finally entered. As soon as I closed the door, I felt an oppressive, suffocating sensation. All night, alright, I've shut myself up in a VIP room. Bring it, Beatrice.
今何分だ？
I looked around the room, but I couldn't see any clock. I am not in the habit of wearing a watch around the house. Damn. Now, I'm not sure what time it is. Still, I know there's only a few minutes left at most. I tried to suppress my desire to use going to get the clock as an excuse to run away from this place. Even so, just standing around like this was boring. When I looked around again, searching for something to sit on, I found something strange.
なんだよ、これ。
What is it? Oh my god, that's creepy. It is creepy. Yeah, a doll? Oh my god. It had been placed on a side table next to the bed. How big is it, by the way? If this room had been used often, I'd have thought it was just one of the owner's personal belongings. But no one lived in this room. So this can't belong to the room's
お
owner.
供えかよ。気持ち悪いぜ。
It really did look like an offering. A small French doll was sitting on the side table. So it's small, okay. No, I thought it was what do you call this? Like life size? Yeah, for example, as big as Jessica. That would be really creepy, yeah. The doll's hair was gold. It was wearing a black dress. Just who managed to find this doll and where? So there's no doubt that someone placed a doll here to symbolize Beatrice. Does that mean this doll is supposed to be the owner of this room or something? And looking like an offering to that owner, there sat a small plate with several cookies and wrapped chocolates. It was all set out neatly and there was no dust piled up on the doll. Meaning, yeah, someone was, I guess, playing with a doll. In other words, both the doll and the offering were taken care of on a regular basis by the servants. Kept in a good condition along with the rest of the room. Taken care of? No, it's more than that. It looked like an offering, no, like some sort of worship. A prayer saying, please don't curse us. So even though the doll was more than eerie enough by itself, viscerally it was even more unnerving to imagine it being kept safe and worshipped in a place like this.
バカバカしいぜ。たたらないでくださいって、柏手でも打つのかよ。
Jessica forced herself to look away from the bizarre doll. She couldn't bring herself to sit on a bed that wasn't hers. Then again, she didn't really feel like sitting down in a chair either. She had lost any desire to sit on anything in this room. I wandered about aimlessly, then peeked out the window through the gaps in the curtains to stare at the dark, rainy night. What the hell am I doing? Honestly, for me, if I was here, if I did this, I would just go under the bed and then Yeah, I would just stay there until if someone comes in the room. If no one comes and it's morning, and then yeah, I'll just leave, right? Hanging about in the VIP room this late just because that fight with Maria is still eating at me. This is totally pointless. Beatrice. Just when did the strange witch start living in this mansion? Grandfather is always yelling about Beatrice. Since it's apparently the name of his dead mistress, people started talking about how her ghost must haunt this mansion. There's that kid's horror story about the witch in the forest, which might be a ghost story made by the adults to stop kids from going in there. The portrait of grandfather had hung in April was really striking. And there was that weird epitaph. The creepy words on that, which sounded like some sort of ceremony with human sacrifices, made the name of Beatrice seem all the more unnerving. At some point, those stories mixed together and now people say that the witch Beatrice exists. I don't believe in Beatrice, because I know she's just a fictional person made by the fusion of a few horror stories. The Beatrice who was grandfather's mistress probably did exist, but she wasn't a witch. The story of the witch was made up by the adults to prevent their kids from getting lost in the woods. But that was just a made up story, not reality. In fact, I've heard the adults here once scared the kids with stories about wolves living in the forest. I mean, they did, yeah. They sure did. Apparently, the kids realized that wolves couldn't possibly be there, so it was changed to the witch. Imagine if there are wolves in this island. The island is, it's not really that big. It cannot sustain them, When the portrait was hung, that once vague character suddenly had a face. And people acted as though she'd been there or been around since long ago. That's right, it's all a ghost story someone made. A fiction. And Maria calls Beatrice her best friend, and the servants worship her like a household shrine. I just don't get it, and it creeps me out. The sudden ring of the phone made me jump so hard I thought my heart would explode. There was a phone on the bedside table across the one with a doll, and it was ringing noisily. However, I was only surprised by the first ring. By the time it did rung 3 times, I had regained my cool enough to grumble about this being a prank done by someone trying to scare me. If I rush to pick it up, I'll probably hear someone laughing at me saying, "Were you scared?" I thought about ignoring it, but it kept on ringing incessantly. It was a pretty loud sound to have going on, and on this late at night, if mom somehow manages to hear it from her room, I'm screwed.
Hey, hey. 取るぜ。取ってやるぜ。ああ、驚いたとでも言いやいいんだろ。
I decided to pick up the receiver. I'll just say that surprised me. And maybe follow up that with looks like Beatrice didn't show up after all. After all, this is my victory in a sense.
もしもし。
Here we go. Smart.
マリア
They're gonna fight again. Because Maria is gonna be like, "Why are you answering this?" I don't get it. Did I hear that wrong? Why would Maria be calling here?
もしもし
この間は楽しいお歌を聴かせてくれてありがとう。
Wait, what? Oh, she just said hello, okay.
だからお返しにマリアもベアトリーチェに歌うね。習った新しいお歌を歌うね。
The voice, the intonation, the manner of speech, all of it clearly belonged to Maria. But what's she talking about all by herself? Maria just kept on talking happily as I stood there, stunned and unable to interrupt. Eventually, Maria started singing an old familiar kids song that even I knew. I don't get it.
マリア、もしもし、ちょっと待てよ、歌うのやめろよ。なんなんだよ、わけがわかんねえぜ。もしもし。
The voice and the lights, everything disappeared. Aw, hell no. In the pitch black, I couldn't see anything, couldn't tell what was happening. I don't get it. What's going on? Okay.
何今の。
Does being in darkness really slow us humans down so much? I mean, you could say that. Because yeah, in darkness, you cannot really see anything. So that's why you freeze. Alright? Especially when it's like it's an ambush. Like an ambush like, yeah, like sudden. Like sudden, oh, the power went out. Of course, you're gonna freeze for a little bit before you move. I know it's dark, but I really have absolutely no idea what just happened. What was that shuffling sound just now? I am not sure, so I can't explain it. I heard an incredible slithering sound like someone crawling out of bed. I didn't think I'd heard it. It wasn't that vague. I definitely heard it happen right next to me clearly. However, there was no change to the bed. No one had been sleeping there in the first place and the sheets were still perfectly straight. Someone had crawled out of bed and laughed in a creepy voice before leaving the room. That's what it felt like. I'm here and the beds are right there. I am not only in the same room, I am right next to it. So why am I unsure about what happened just a few seconds ago? I gripped the receiver, which had gone completely silent, and waited there alone, unable to move, in a quiet room that seemed exactly identical to the one I'd entered. What? If nothing's changed since the beginning, I can just pretend that the last minute or so didn't happen. And yet, if something has changed, that would prove that something really did happen.
なんだよ、なんでねえんだよ。
Did it fall to the floor? No, it's not there. No matter where I look from whatever angle, it's not there. The offering plate with the cookies and chocolates is still here, but the thing they were being offered to, the doll, is gone.
嘘だ。
Then, what just happened? Is the Beatrice Sama doll supposed to have cackled out loud and left the room? No, that crawling sound was too loud to have been made by a doll. It was a noisy sort of sound, like a kid playing with a blanket and using it as a cape. Then, what? Is that Beatrice Sama doll supposed to have turned into human and then run cackling from the room?
嘘だ。
After that, nothing happened. The doll alone disappeared and nothing else changed, in a VIP room that had remained completely unchanged and was filled only with the sound of wind and rain. I stood there too shocked to move.
人形は結局見つかったのか？
物陰からベッドの下まで探したさ。それこそ中に入り込んでまで。 でも、見つからなかった。
一体あの部屋で何があったと考えてる？
ベアトリーチェ様のたたりなんて思いはしねえぜ。あるいは使用人の誰かのいたずらだったかもしれね
いたずら？
え。マリアの声はあらかじめカセットテープにでも取ってあって、それを午前2時ちょうどに電話して再生ボタンを押した。そしてほどほどのところで配電盤か何かで停電させた。それからあらかじめ貴賓室のどこかに隠れてた誰かが気持ち悪く笑いながら人形を持って出て行った。そう考えりゃ辻褄は合うぜ。
釈然とはしてないようだな。
そりゃそうだろう。だってこれが私を脅かすためのいたずらだとしたら大掛かりが過ぎるぜ。
I mean, it was really scary though, right? The doll was gone, and then Maria suddenly was calling and then singing. It was, I guess, let's say more creepy than scary, I guess, right? They made Maria sing beforehand and recorded it. Then someone called the VIP room and replayed the recording. And then someone waited until exactly the right time and tripped the breaker for the VIP room. To turn off the power to the VIP room, you'd have to go to the basement. There's a switchboard booth down in the boiler room. There's no phone line there, so you'd need a different person to play back Maria's tape. And you need another person to hide in the VIP room and cackle before leaving. And just how long would this last person have to hide in the VIP room beforehand? How long would they have to hide in the pitch black VIP room under the bed, for example? Waiting to scare Jessica, who might or might not even come.
魔女のたたりなんてあるわけもねえぜ。でもよ、人間のいたずらだと考えて、それだけの人間が緻密に示し合わせて、私を驚かせるためだけに何時間も暗闇で待ち構えてたって考える方が、私はよっぽど薄気味悪いぜ。
同感だな。いっそたたりの方がマシだ。そのことを後日使用人たちには聞いたのか？
聞いたってとぼけるに決まってるぜ。それに最低3人だぜ。あの日は源氏さんと郷田さんと熊沢さんとシャノンの4人が泊まってた。そのうちの3人があんな薄気味悪いいたずらに加担したってのか？わけわかんねえ。だから私は聞けなかった。
True, it had been a strange experience for her, but it wasn't something completely impossible for humans to do. Even so, it really must have been more unnerving to imagine a large number of people planning so carefully just to scare Jessica. It's no surprise that Jessica found it scarier than Beatrice's curse. I mean, because
今でも使用人たちがお前をはめたと信じてるか？
because it's happening in front of her, that's why it's scarier.
いや、多分ビビっちまった私の勘違いなんだよ。きっと人形はどこかに転げ落ちて、私がたまたまそれを見つけられなかっただけなんだ。
すべて気のせいだったと言いたいのか？
I mean, maybe I guess you can say that, right? Like, I mean, come on. Like, think of it. Like, you yourself, or for example, let's say me. When you go down, for example, or you go outside your room, you want to get water, right? There's no lights outside the room. And then when you go back to your room, you run back because you think someone is following you or trying to chase you, but in reality there isn't, right? You're just imagining it because it's dark, it's scary, but Yeah, in reality, there's nothing there. You just imagined it. I remember that, yeah, back then all the time. Like maybe even now sometimes. When I turned off the lights and I would go back to the room, I would walk much more faster or, yeah, technically run. Because there's a feeling like, oh, there's a feeling like, oh, something is following or chasing me, even though there's nothing there.
人形が消えた以外、何の変化も証拠もない。マリアにも後日聞いたけど、歌のことも電話のことも知らないと言われた。
She didn't know anything about that song or the phone call.
とぼけたのか、本当に知らないのかはわからないけれど。
I mean, yeah, she could be easily lying, right? Who knows?
とにかく、あの晩のあの出来事は、私が確かにあったと言い張ってるだけで、何も証明することができない。
皮肉だな。たとえお前が本当にベアトリーチェに会ったと言っても、それを証明できないのと同じだ。
しばらくはショックだったけど、時間が経って、あれは臆病な私が落雷か何かで一瞬だけ停電したのにびっくりして、庭木の枝がちぎれてバサバサ落ちる音を誤解したんじゃないかなって思えるようになった。
笑い声は？
変な鳥の鳴き声とか。とにかく、そう聞こえてしまう何かの聞き間違いだったかもしれねえ。私は強がってるだけで、本当は信じられないくらい臆病だったんだ。だから、あんなことがあったように誤解してしまったんだ。そう考えるようにして、あの晩のことを忘れようと、自分に強く言い聞かせた。
すべては闇の中か。
人間、忘れようと思えば結構できるもんだよな。以来、ベアトリーチェという言葉を聞くたびに嫌な気持ちがこみ上げる。でも、それを顔に出さないように努めてる。
うん。
おしまい。私に話せるのは、この程度の話だけだぜ。情けない話だから、誰にも内緒に。私がビビリだったって、誰にも知られたくねえからな。
わかった。最後に、一つだけ質問したい。
One last question.
貴賓室のことで？
違う。食堂でのことだ。
食堂？
お前の階段の直前の親族会議の日、食堂には親族全員が揃ったな。
ああ。当時はまだバトラは戻ってなかったけど、それ以外は全員いたよ。もちろん、じいさまは除くぜ。
Yes, except Kinzo.
演者は腹痛で空席だったな。それは、お前の隣の席だな。
そうだぜ。
それはお前の右の席だったか。
そうだぜ。右の席だよ。
Okay.
それが何か？
Yeah, why does it matter, sir?
あれ？おかしいな。どうして右？
Why to the right? Yeah, why right though?
十分だ。無理に考えるな。頭痛になら。
Wait, what? Her seat was next to yours, wasn't it? Okay.
どうしたんだい、ジェシカ。何を悩んでるんだい？
いや、右、左。
おかしなジェシカ。どうビル？ジョージ兄さんやジェシカに何か聞けました？
まずまずだ。 ベアトリーチェの階段はなかなか面白かった。
階段？
Or maybe no, I'm thinking of the seating, like saying the seat was to the right. So what does that mean? Does that mean that Leon's seat, is that it? Because yeah, to the right. I'm not sure.
どんな話ですか？
午前2時の貴賓室にベアトリーチェの亡霊が現れるという話だ。なかなかおっかない話だったぞ。
初耳です。誰が言い出した話か知りませんけど、仮にも当主様の恩人を階段にしてしまうなんて失礼な話ですね。
模範解答だな。
何か？
リオンは碑文はわかるか？
碑文？何の話です？
ベアトリーチェの肖像画のところにある例の碑文だ。
すみません。何のことかさっぱり。
懐かしき故郷を貫く鮎の川。
何ですか？それは。
お前の、いや、この世界には肖像画はあるのに碑文はねえのか？
玄関ホールに掲げられてるベアトリーチェの大きな肖像画は私だってもちろん知っています。しかし碑文の話はわかりません。何の話です？
面白い違いだ。リオンはずっと六軒島で暮らしてきたな。
無論です。それが何か？
子供の頃、森には近づくなと脅されてたはずだ。
ええ、迷子になって危ないから決して近づくなと昔から。
森には魔女が出ると？
魔女？何の話です？
黄金の魔女にして六軒島の夜の支配者ベアトリーチェ。
ベアトリーチェはおじい様の恩人です。それを魔女だか妖怪だかのように扱うのは少々失礼かと思いますが。
魔女のベアトリーチェは知らないと？
黄金と共に潜水艦でやってきたベアトリーチェと隠し屋敷で育ったその娘の話は知っていますよ。あなたと一緒にさっき知ったではありませんか。それがいつ魔女になったんです？
なるほど。では森に入ると何が出ると脅された？
森には狼が住んでるから近寄るなと。
So same as Coadorian Beatrice.
魔女でなく狼か。なるほどな。面白い。
私は面白くありません。何の話です？魔女って何のことですか？
こっちの話だ。最後にもう一つ聞きて。
どうぞ。
親族会議の食堂でお前の右には誰が座ってる？
Okay, so yes, so I was thinking about this earlier, and remember, was it the first episode, right? So in the head of the table, right? So in the middle, in the center, on the top, it's gonna be the head. So let's just say Kinzo, right? And then it's pretty much a hierarchy, a ranking system, right? So based on, I guess, who's sitting next to you. Like for Kinzo, the one next to him is Kraus because yeah, he was a successor, right? So I think why Will was asking Jessica earlier if it was the right seat, because if it was the right side, that means that the one sitting next to Jessica should have been in a much more higher position than her, right? Because if it's on her left side, lower position. So if we're looking at this, yeah, Will is, I don't know, Will, I mean, Leon is the successor. So as Jessica is a second child, she's second in line, so she's next to Leon. If I'm correct. I don't know, let's just see.
私の向かいは妹のジェシカ。その次の序列はエヴァおばさんの息子になります。
Okay. Across from me though. My little sister Jessica sits across from me.
だからジョージ兄さんですけれど、それが何か。
なるほどな。紛らわしく入り混じってやがる。
It's kind of confusing, yeah.
だが、面白い。
私には全然さっぱりですが。
I gotta look at the episode 1 again. And see how their sitting arrangement is. But yeah, but basically it's like that, right? Ranking system, and actually the husband, or like technically the spouses that just married into the family were at the lowest position, right? That, for example, Natsuki and Hideyoshi, they would sit
わかったんですか?
by the farther part of that long table. So we'll see. Okay. I'm not still quite understanding what Will is trying to find here, or trying to say. Maybe, I mean, you could say that, for example, there's no Leon, right? And Leon said earlier that the one who sits across me is Jessica. What if Leon is not there? That's why it's quite confusing. That's why it's quite confusing, is what I'm saying. Like, the order of the arrangement of seats changes because if people exist or not, or something like that. We'll find out. That honestly, that kind of confused me a little bit there. I'll try to think about it. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe we'll still talk about it by next episode. I think Leon is still talking about that. We'll find out. So anyways, we are gonna concede this and do more of Umineko and They Cry episode 7 in the next one. So I'll just see you then, guys. Bye bye.